My name is Ruben Le Professeur. I'm the owner of Barber's on Broad, located at 1220 North Broad Street, Suite 3, Philadelphia, PA, 19121.
All right, Ruben, how'd you get into being a barber?
I've been a barber for 19 years. I went to barber school at Brewery in Tri-City back in 2006. Finished, graduated, got my license, and I've been a barber ever since.
Okay. Did you go right to owning your own shop, or did you start somewhere else first?
No, I actually worked in 2 shops before I became a shop owner. Actually 3, to be honest. My first shop was a salon. I worked there about 6 months. Then I worked in another shop for about 2 weeks, and then I followed that with the shop that I worked at, which was Barber Time at Castor in Princeton. I worked there close to 7 years and then I came here and opened my own shop. It's been about 11 years now.
Okay, yeah, that's where we met each other.
Yeah,
Barber Time.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Barber Time, 7065 Castor Avenue. That's where it all started for me.
All right. Where'd you So what made you want to get out and get your own shop?
I mean, honestly, that was always the plan out of barber school. Like, my goal was like to learn as much as I need to learn under the right people, around the right people, and then, eventually go out and venture out on my own and get my own shop. I would say within like a year or 2 of me working at Barber Time, the owner was trying to push me to go get my own shop, but I didn't really have a need for it. I didn't feel like I was ready. I didn't feel like it was necessary, and I didn't want to open a shop until I actually had to have my own shop, because a lot of people, think about owning their own business, but they don't factor in, the headache, and they don't factor in all of the stress and aggravation that is required to own your own business. And so I didn't want to take on that duty until I felt like I was mentally ready.
Okay, all right. So what do you think made you, or what do you think was what pushed you over the edge that made you really?
I mean, honestly, when the time came for me to open my own shop, it was just kind of like my life transitions. I had my 4th child at the time. My ex-wife was finishing up school, and so I had put her through nursing school, and I wanted to make sure I elevate myself as much as I had taken the time to elevate her. And so I just felt like, the clientele that I had, the experience that I had, and then everything that I had going on, it was the necessary next step into my journey. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, that's definitely that's nerve-wracking. I would say, having to step out and really have to I would be nervous to do it. I mean, was you nervous at all, or?
I mean, absolutely. I was nervous for sure, but at the same time, I had been preparing myself mentally for years, because, like I said, within 1 or 2 years of me working at Barber Time, the owner at the time, his name was Ray. He passed away back in 2020. He was trying to push me.
Ray passed away.
Yeah, he did, actually. Unfortunately, man. He was so he had he was pushing me. He was trying to get me to go get my own, but I wasn't ready. I didn't think I needed to have my own shop at the time. I didn't find a reason. I didn't have a urge nor a necessity to take on that type of responsibility. And then managing people, man, I wasn't ready to manage people at that capacity, because I was a barbershop manager, but when you're the owner, literally everything falls on you, good, bad, and otherwise. And so I just didn't want to take on that responsibility until I felt like I actually had to, and I needed to, and I had no other options.
Okay, all right. I'm glad you touched on it. I would say it's a lot more with running the shop. So I would say, what other skills did you have to make sure that you had to, I would say, ascertain before you made the jump?
One of the skills that you really need is understanding how to deal with people and the different personalities that they're gonna have, because you can be really dope at whatever it is that you do, but that doesn't mean you're gonna be a good owner of your own business. I mean, should you own your own business? If you can, absolutely. But it's a lot of discipline that's required for you to do that. It's up to you, to get up and go get it, because nobody's gonna make you, and nobody cares if you didn't, or if you don't feel like it. And so understanding that and having those certain level of discipline that is required to go out and get it every day, even if you don't feel like it, even if you're sick. There's no time off. There's no paid vacations. There's no sick leave. There's no benefits. All of those things you have to figure out how to handle on your own by yourself. because if you don't, you're just gonna fall by the wayside. Nobody's gonna do it for you. So you have to go out and get it. You have to go out and hustle. You have to go out and sacrifice. You have to go out and network. You have to do. You have to wear multiple hats. And if you're not somebody that's confident enough, if you're not somebody that's strong enough, if you don't have that drive and that discipline and everything else that's required for you to succeed, then it's not gonna work out.
Okay, so would you say that was the most pivotal thing, or the most influential thing, or I would say the key thing that led to your success? Or let me put the question a different way. What do you think made you successful where a lot of barbers fail or businesses fail?
I think for me, the key to success is just not quitting. I'll say that's the only difference between me and everybody else. Like everyone else that I've helped open their own businesses, as long as they didn't quit, they're still in business today. And one of the things I would tell them a lot of times when people, because I've consulted with over a dozen different businesses, barbershops, and other people in other fields similar to the beauty industry, not just barbershops, but like whether it's salons or estheticians and things like that. And one thing I tell them is, look, that first 2-3 years is gonna be nerve-wracking. It's gonna like, even if you plan as much as you can and you think you got everything set up, life has a way of throwing curveballs at you, and the main thing is you just not quit. Like if you don't quit, you're gonna find yourself on the other side. And the difference between me and everyone else who unfortunately didn't make it to an extent is they allow themselves to quit. And if you keep showing up every day, life has a funny way of like just attracting and bringing you the answers that you need when you needed them the most. But if you quit, it's never going to reach you. Right. So I'm going to assess my success in not quitting and God, honestly, because my faith has been definitely tested throughout the years, from the beginning right up until today. And I'm religious. I'm spiritual, I should say, not so much religious. I just started going back to church the past few months. I took years off prior to that, but I've never stopped believing in God, and I've never stopped praying in my heart, and I've never stopped having conversations with Him. And a lot of my success I owe to Him, because at the end of the day, I think highly of myself, and I'm extremely confident, and I'm extremely dedicated. But life still gets to me. Life still comes at me in different ways. Life still beats me up. But I think about it, I pray about it, I damn sure cry about it, and I keep it going. I keep moving, I keep showing up, because at the end of the day, if I don't show up, if I don't present myself, nobody's there to pick me up. And I gotta be a good example for my kids. I gotta show them that no matter what, you gotta keep thriving, you gotta keep going, you gotta keep growing. Because yes, I'm there to pick them up, but for me, I feel like if I don't keep going, there's nobody there to pick me up. So I gotta keep showing up for myself, so I could be a good example for my kids.
So yeah, that's a good point right there. You say that you're there for yourself, and then you also talk about keep going, but there's always going to be those days, those times where it's like you're going through those hard times. And I feel as though, like even my little cousin, he's a barber, you know what I'm saying? And he's working in the shop right now, but he often talks about how it's a little bit tough. And he would say that the hardest thing for him is trying to get the clientele. So what keeps you going really in those times where you feel as though? So
I'll say this, when it comes to clientele, I've been super grateful, because I've never lacked clientele, man. Even when I go through time periods where I'm not as busy as I could be or should be, I feel like, but I'm always grateful for the down times, because it gives me time to reflect. It gives me time to remember, how long I've even been doing this. I've been self-employed for 19 years. So, and this has been the only thing that I've done. Cutting hair, being a licensed barber.
Congratulations.
That's been the only thing I've done my whole adult life. And so when people talk about, not being able to build clientele, I'll say the first thing is, one, what kind of procedure do you have? Are you available? Are you consistent? Are you punctual? Are you professional? And are you good at what you do? Because some people think just because you're good at what you do, that means you're gonna get clientele right away. there are barbers that are 10 times better than me as far as like detail wise, being able to do a certain haircut, but you know, they're not consistent. Their availability is not great. They're not professional. They don't know how to talk to people. They're not courteous. They're not relatable. You know, like we live in a time and era where like people have options. It's not like back in the day when somebody's gonna dedicate their whole day just to get a haircut. You know, there are different systems in place. You can book an appointment online. I got clients all the time that I've never met before, but by the time they leave out of my chair, I know everything about them because during the grooming process, during the time, from the time they come in, they sit in the chair, I'm asking them different questions to get to know them better. So not only give them a good service and a good haircut, but to give them a great experience overall. So now that person that came in as a customer is leaving out as a client because they're gonna come back. Not just because I gave them a great haircut, but because we had a great insight throughout the whole interaction as they sit in my chair. You know, we're gonna talk about how'd you find this way. We're gonna talk about what led you to come and sit in my chair. We're gonna talk about if you're from the city, if you're not from the city, where you're from and things like that. We're gonna touch all these different points in a 40 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, however long the service is, you know, that I'm performing. And by the time they leave, yes, they're gonna come out looking great, but if they had any type of like despair, if they had anything going on in their mind, you know, we're gonna touch on those things, and that's gonna help them relieve whatever stress they may have had. So they're gonna look good, they're gonna leave out the chair feeling good, looking good, and feeling amazing about themselves.
Okay. What would you think it is? Because that's something that we definitely hear a lot, especially coming from, like, I would say, the black community about the barbershop. What do you think it is about sitting in a chair that's, I would say, therapeutic? Would you say it's the ambiance, or is it the people around? Is it the barbers? Is it a mix of everything? Because the barbershop, and it's something that I haven't been, because, you know, I got locked now, I haven't been in a long time, but the barbershop is a safe space for men. Like, why do you think that is?
I mean, it's one of the few places that like men can come in and be themselves. You know, and as people walk through society, especially in today's age, it's like we always have to put on this mask, we all have to put on this show, we all have to put on our armor the minute we walk out the door, and you don't know what's going to attack you at any given point. And sometimes even the house that you're living in, you know, you find yourself fighting battles in that home. And so the barbers, and when they have that barber-client relationship, that's that one place that you come in bi-weekly, weekly, monthly, and then you can just talk to that person. Because it's an intimate situation. It's like that's as close as you're gonna get to somebody outside of like a priest or a therapist themselves. And unfortunately, I'm not even gonna say just black men, most men don't go to therapy. You know, one of the things that I'm realizing now that I'm single and I'm like dating again is when I run into different women and I'm like, yeah, I'm in therapy. They're like, wow, you're in therapy? It's almost uncommon to hear, you know, a man, never mind a black man, saying that they're in therapy. And for me, I go to therapy every week because, and especially now that I'm dealing with everybody, and it's a lot of trauma going on in the world right now. It's like so many different people going through so many different things. As a barber, I'm taking on a lot of that trauma when I'm talking to people and they're sharing with me and they're confiding in me. And I now have to take on, I don't want to take that home to my kids. I don't want to take that on for myself. So I have to find somewhere else to release that trauma. I have to find some positive way to decompress, you know. So what I try to do is go to the gym. I practice jiu-jitsu, and I've been learning through therapy to do a lot of meditation and deep breathing and things like that. Just finding different positive ways to like release stress and decompress, and so I can be a better barber and a better owner and a better person to the people that's around me.
Okay. So it sounds like your life is very detailed, routine. Would you say like a routine is crucial, would you say, or is it something that you would say you're more so just now starting to develop?
Nah, I've had routine for years because I have 5 kids.
Okay.
So for me, like it's been important for me to have routines and be able to have certain systems in place in order to be able to make my life work, you know, as efficiently as possible. Because when you have kids, they got to go to multiple schools. I got to be to work. I got to run a business. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like I can't just whimsily go by day doing things. I have specific days, specific times, specific hours, specific things in order to make my life flow. Because if I'm not routine, then everything goes out of place. Everything goes out of whack. You know, this person's not gonna make it to school on time. This person's not gonna make it to their game on time. This person's not gonna get picked up on time. This person's not gonna be able to eat. I'm not gonna be able to service my clients on time. So everything has to work like a well-oiled machine. So definitely having a routine and having had a routine for years is what's allowed me to be able to have the level of success that I've had in life and in business.
Okay, that's what's up. Talk about how, like, what's it like having a business in Philly? As you say, you've been, working for yourself for 19 years now. What's it like working in Philly? And you're not just anywhere in Philly. You on Broad Street. Like, that's the main street here.
I mean, honestly, I love it being in Philly. I didn't always like it. It definitely was something that I had to adjust to. It's something that I had to grow into, appreciating all the different nuances of what is Philadelphia. Because especially being on a main street like Broad Street, which has always been a goal of mine to own a business on Broad Street, it's great. I mean, I run into so many different people, man. Like, it's like so many different walks of life. Like, people, like, this city is extremely vibrant for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of them are positive, but unfortunately the negative is what get highlighted majority of the times. And
why do you think that is, though?
I mean, because nonsense sells at the end of the day. It's if it's something that's negative, it's gonna spread 10 times faster than something that's positive. Case in point, I had an issue with a car that was parked around here for almost a year, and I called 311 about it, and they didn't do anything, and I got upset last week finally, and I went and made a post about it. First I made it on my story, and then I created it into a post, and then before you know it, a day later, that car got removed. Now, I tagged the mayor and I tagged PPA about it. I'm not sure how much of an effect that actually made, but either way, it worked. Me complaining about it made a difference in a matter of less than 24 hours. Now, I'm also not the person that goes online and complains about everything that's going on at every waking moment. So I think part of that is the reason why when I do complain, when I do say something, it has an exponential tone to it, because I don't typically complain. I'm not the first person to go on social media and create rants about everything, every little thing that's going on. So, I'm mindful of the fact that, like, I do have a voice, and I do have influence as far as, like, the way and my tonality and how I speak and what I say. So I'm mindful of what I say and who I say it to and where I say it, because you never know who's listening.
Right. Okay. All right. So you're here on Broad Street. You said this wasn't your first location, right? You told me that.
Right.
Before. Right. Your last location. What do you think made you change? And I would say, what are the biggest differences you would say?
I mean, my last location was sold. The building was sold. I had a first right of refusal. That's basically when you have the rights to purchase the building or to match the price of the building before it's being sold. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I tried to I actually purchased the building, funny enough, but I needed some partners to do it, and the deal just didn't work out. So they gave me my money back. I walked away from that deal. I could have made money, but ultimately, I didn't technically lose any money. But that building is basically just sitting empty now. So it's like, I don't regret not being in that building anymore. The current space where I'm at now, the difference is so drastic as far as, like, watching redlining in 2026 in real life, even in a city like Philadelphia. And I say that because on each side and each corner of where we're located, it's a different zip code. And each zip code it determines, a certain level of money that you might be paying rent, a certain level of the type of clientele that you may necessarily see, and so forth and so on. And it's just like, the influx of clients and the influx of business that we've had since we've been at this current location, it's just been night and day. And I mean, like, we did good at our previous location, but we've done great here.
Okay, but you said that the clientele is different. Do you think that that's a product of the city, a product of the neighborhood, or?
I think the clientele is different from a combination of things. One, there's been a lot of new builds around here. There's been a lot of money invested in this neighborhood around here since we've been here, and so there are a lot of people that are pouring into the city, moving in from different states, moving in from different cities, moving in from different counties, and so that's changing the demographics of the people and the clientele that we get coming in and out of the doors each and every day. So that's a big part of it. And then the other side is like, you know, being a half a block down the street, people might not want to walk that necessarily. You know, it was really just right there. We went from 905 North Broad Street to 1220 North Broad Street, but the difference has been night and day. Like I said, it's just been, I couldn't understand it until I experienced it. That's the best way I can say it.
Okay. Do you think you would be as successful as you are now if you would have stayed in the same location?
No, absolutely not. I think we would probably been out of business had we stayed in the same location.
Wow.
Because for one, majority of the businesses that were on that strip have all been taken down. They've all went out. There was a Family Dollar. There was a seafood place. There was a couple different Cameron Seafood. There was a couple different places and stores that were across from me. That was near me. They were all out of business. So we definitely would have suffered the same fate.
Okay.
Had we still been at that location.
All right. Now, was that during like around COVID time, around the time when he was doing the riots, or like what around?
All of the above. So we moved here in December 2019, and then 2020 happened. COVID happened in 2020. Okay. So we kind of moved here right before COVID, but coming in here at the end of 2019 and settling in here was definitely like helpful. Okay. Without us realizing it, because it was just, like I said, had we still been at the other location, I'm 100% sure we would have been out of business.
Right, and I would say like making that move around 2019, 2020, dang, like everything was shut down. Like,
I mean,
how do you?
We came here and then we worked here for 3 months, and then we were shut down for 3.5 months. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely scary. Right. It was terrifying, but again, like being at this location made such a difference, because at the other location our expenses were far higher. I mean, our expenses are high at this location too, but they were far higher at the other location because we had a whole building. It was a warehouse. Okay. And so it was a lot more square footage. It was a lot more place to warm up. A lot more for electricity. A lot more for just everything. A lot more for rent. And so, not being able to pay the rent for 3-4 months over there, that would have been the difference maker in us whether we could stay in business or not. Especially not being able to just make money and still having to owe, 3-4 months of rent. Okay. On top of utilities and everything else.
All right. One question that I would have for you, just for people that may be thinking about getting into barbers or younger barbers. One thing that I see a lot out here, barbers, that instead of having a shop or working in a shop, they'll have like a rental space where they have a chair, so where they can go out. Do you think that it's more beneficial when you're just starting off to work in a shop? Or do you think it's more beneficial if you can get the clientele to just go ahead and try to do it on your own?
I mean, it really depends on what it is you're looking for, honestly. Like, if your goal is just to work and cut hair, and that's all you want to do is just cut hair, then, I guess get your own space. For me, I enjoyed the camaraderie of the barbershop. Like, I started off by going to barber school, and like there's a different level of aspect when you're working around people. Like, iron sharpens iron. And so I wouldn't be the barber that I am today if I didn't work around some of the great barbers that I had the opportunity to work around when I was first starting. It basically jump-started my skill and my career level and everything that I'm able to do by being around such a diverse group of men from the very beginning. Because at Barber Time, when I worked there, I worked for somebody that was from Albania. I worked with somebody that was from Ukraine. I worked with somebody that was from Puerto Rico. I worked with somebody that was from Ecuador. I worked with somebody that was from Palestine, which was the owner. Like, I'm from Haiti. Like, we were the United Nations, of barbershops. And so when you come in and you see all these different people from all these different backgrounds, and everybody's working to just be the best skilled barber that they can be, and each one of them, based on their different backgrounds, have a different set of skills that they have with the clippers or with the shears or with the razor, and they have a different way of doing certain haircuts. They have a different way of doing a certain fade. I didn't have to go to a barber show to learn a different technique, because I had this guy right here that was from a different country that's doing a different technique that I'm watching, that's standing next to me 10 hours a day, that I can just watch and learn from. Or this guy over here, one of the barbers, his name was Gabe, he from Puerto Rico, and he's amazing. I'm watching him do designs on the back of his own head, putting portraits in the back of people's heads, putting, all types of crazy cool designs and things like that. And it's just like, we're learning from each other. We're growing. We're exchanging information. We're exchanging ideas. I could have been good, I would have been decent over time, but like as far as like working with different people and being around different people that are like good at what they do, that are passionate about what they do, and being able to see it and soak it in every day, like you can't beat that. And you're not gonna get that level of exposure working in a space by yourself, and just talking to your clients and things like that. Again, is that good to do at some point when if you've done it already? For sure, because it can get toxic, and it can get overwhelming, and if you work in certain shops and different attitudes and different mindsets and different things like that. But fortunately, I've always worked around people that were upstanding, they were thriving, they were trying to do better, they were positive. The few people that I've worked around that weren't on that mindset, they didn't last long. They didn't last long, and so it's more beneficial to work around people in the beginning so you can learn as much as you can. But if you're not good working with people and having your own spaces is what would suit you the best, then by all means.
All right. So just to close out with, I would say, because we're coming up on like 30 minutes right now, what would be one piece of advice you would give to someone that's either a young barber, someone that's a young business owner, someone that's trying to be successful in a bigger city, anything? What's one piece of advice you would give to someone?
I would say something that somebody told me that I didn't understand for years. Wherever you are, there you go. And basically, it's like, no matter what it is that you whatever you're trying to escape from, if you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna move from this city to the next city, or I'm gonna move from this shop to the next shop, I'm gonna move from this job to the next job, you're still taking yourself into all these new spaces. So if you're looking for change, and you're looking for change outside of yourself, you got to start within yourself first. The change got to come within you. So whatever it is that you're running from, you have to first figure that out internally before you figure it out on the outside. So wherever you are, there you go, because you're going to take yourself to whatever new environment, to whatever new situation, to whatever new city, to whatever new job, and still run into the same problems until you work within yourself.
All right. Well, listen, man, I do thank you. Thank you for allowing us in your shop. Definitely a nice shop.
Appreciate it.
Definitely more success to you, and we'll talk to you hopefully in the future.
Thank you very much. I do want to also mention that we were nominated and won for the Best Barbershop 2026 for this Philadelphia area, for the North Broad Street area anyway. So definitely grateful for that. Definitely happy and excited about that.